Have a unique opportunity over the next several weeks to hear from political movers and shakers involved in creating policy on the local, state, and national level. The LBJ School of Public Affairs at the University of Texas is hosting its LBJ Conversations series. Former CEO of the Texas Tribune and UT professor of practice, Evan Smith, is hosting these conversations. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Happy to do it.
So we know you have some heavy hitters on this list. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, set the scene for us. Tell us how the LBJ Conversations got started. What's the purpose of them?
I've been teaching, Mike, at the LBJ School for more than a decade, and I always bring guests into class. These are elected officials from both parties, federal, state, and local, for the benefit of the students. And last year, the dean of the LBJ School asked if we could open those up to the public. So let the public come in addition to the students, and hear from these folks. Let them talk about the decisions they make, the effect that they have on your daily lives if you live in Austin or Texas. And we began a conversation series last semester, and we're doing it again this time. We have a number of really big names, again, from both parties, federal, state, and local. You have an opportunity to hear them talk and then to get to ask them questions.
And you started off just yesterday, right, with Karl Rove from
in fact, we had Mayor Watson 2 weeks ago, very first day of class. Karl Rove, the former Deputy White House Chief of Staff, talked about the presidential election. We had State Senator Sarah Eckhart, also from the Austin area, last class yesterday. And going forward, every week we're going to have one or two guests come in. And again, public has the opportunity to come in and take part.
It's an impressive list, and also we want to point out that it's a list of Democrats and Republicans.
Really important to be bipartisan these days. Look, Austin, we know the way that Austin leans politically, but the reality is there are Republicans who live here. There are Republicans who have a hand on the business that affects the people in this city. So we need to bring both Republicans and Democrats in. That's the only way that you become better informed about your world, right? So we have former Governor Rick Perry. We have the Comptroller of Texas, Glenn Hager. We have Congressman Tony Gonzalez, Republican from San Antonio, former U.S. Senator and Ambassador to NATO, Kay Bailey Hutchison. But we also have Representatives Donna Howard and Cheryl Cole and Gina Hinojosa and John Busey from Austin. We have Travis County DA Jose Garza. We have Travis County Judge Andy Brown. So it's a real range of folks.
I really like how it is across the board on several levels of government to see how each one works. I think that's fascinating. What do you think that it is that they can bring to these conversations to not only your students from your class, but when the public can attend these LBJ conversations? What will they learn about the process beyond the typical headlines that we hear and the news stories that we hear regarding politics?
Mike, this is all about the stakes. You know, all of us are impacted by the decisions made in government, whether it's at City Hall, at the state capitol, or at the U.S. Capitol. There are fights being waged in our names, and we have stakes in the outcomes of those fights. We all have responsibility as citizens to know, first of all, those fights are going on, and second of all, to understand how they affect us. Every issue on the ballot, every race on the ballot affects every one of us. A better informed state is a better state. And so we have to give the people in this city, this community, the opportunity to become better informed, and that begins with hearing from these folks whose decisions affect their lives.
I'm interested in your process. You're hosting this. So
I am.
Moderator, so to speak, right? So I've experienced this. I've interviewed many politicians throughout my career. I'm sure you've interviewed many more. And politicians are really good at not answering questions. So how is it that you get these people here and get through the, you know what I want to say, through what they want to say, to some substantive stuff that they can talk about? Like, how do you break through that politician?
Well, first of all, let me say that many of the people who are coming in this semester have come in before. Many of these people are people who I've interviewed before at the Texas Tribune Festival or on television or somewhere else. They know that I'm going to be fair, but they also know that I'm going to be tough and that I'm going to hold them to account. If I ask you a question, answer it. If you don't answer the question, I'm going to come back and ask you again. It's not about being mean or gotcha. It's about simply expecting reasonably that people who we elect to office to represent us have an obligation to answer the hard questions that we ask. And so they come in, they know they're going to be challenged, they know that we're going to go back and forth about it, but it's going to be done in the spirit of what our democracy demands, which is that we hold people in power accountable.
Yeah, speak clear, which is the Texas way, right?
And be honest and be open and be transparent.
That's right.
That's right.
Final question, how do you choose these people?
Well, you know, over time I build a list and you ask everybody and you hope that you get enough. Sometimes you ask somebody and it takes 1 or 2 or 3 years for them to come in, but sometimes you ask them and they get it immediately. The best ones recognize that it's better to say yes now, give their time be as transparent and open as possible when they come in. They have a good time. Hopefully we get them to come back.